and Randy Newman. My friend Kerry introduced me to this track. It's called "It's Money That I Love." It's one of those songs that sounds like it should be live. I'm a big fan of music that always sounds like it would be best live. And my favourite thing about this song, which I realised as I listened to it again the other day, was that it sounds a bit like the bit in the movie where there's a montage and a guy's come into a lot of money and he's spending it.
Right.
So when you listen to it, I want you to imagine a movie with me in it, preferably.
Yes.
Wandering around spending a lot of money. My brother was in the army, and he told me that he was shown a lot of videos of war-torn countries with Annie Lennox's "Y" in the background.
Brilliant.
Apparently, it's a favourite thing amongst training soldiers to show that. So this is a cracking song. I can't remember which album it off, but it's Randy Newman. "It's Money That I Love."
Rufus's choice for this week, Randy Newman and "It's Money That I Love." I've enjoyed that very much. Randy, of course, went on to, he's been writing songs for sort of Toy Story and the like.
Yeah, he's written a lot of movie soundtracks and probably made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And one week, maybe I'll bring short people in if Dan's in, and we can enjoy his venomous attack on short people.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
Randy's not a fan of short people.
No, have you not heard the lyrics?
No, is he a giant himself? Is he a big
He's
guy?
not. I think he's quite short himself, so I think it's kind of fairly self-referential. But he really sticks the knife in, big time.
Oh,
You
can't.
love it.
I'd look forward to hearing that. 'Cause
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I hate anyone who's smaller than I.
Exactly, which is
Everybody.
I wonder how many people that is.
Suddenly had the urge to mention this, but you were thinking of montages, and I had to go to a hospital the other day, and I always, whenever I see hospitals, they're always very kind of manic. They're always very movie-like in my head. I always think of them in movies and stuff. And I was going there because my dining companion choked on a chip. And I came into the room and she was choking on a chip, and I immediately do what I always do in those situations, which is to put my hands up and go, I don't know the Heimlich manoeuvre. As though somehow if they die, their last memory will be, well, I can't blame Steve because he doesn't know the Heimlich manoeuvre. It's my own fault, I should have been out with someone who did. And so she's choking on a chip, obviously, and normally these things, they just cough and then they move on and it's fine. But she just kept going, and she couldn't breathe. And it's terrible, I was getting a bit panicked, so I instantly went to the Yellow Pages and phoned up and said, can I get my money back on the takeaway, because it was silly, we clearly weren't going to finish it. And then I thought, I better phone the NHS Direct, phone them enough, and they got a bit panicked. They said, we're going to send an ambulance, and she was like, no, I don't want to send in an ambulance, it'll be fine. And I thought, well, this is going to be worrying. And she said, don't bother with the ambulance. So I said, okay, I'll take you to A&E. So I hot-footed it in my car to A&E. I mean, this is getting quite dramatic now. It's very movie-like. And we got to the A&E, and she was just still joking like that. And obviously, I was really, really worried, because I'd parked on a meter, but I hadn't put any money in, because I didn't have any change, so I was a bit edgy. And so I left her there. I sorted that out. Don't worry, it's fine. And so she was joking away. And they made her put on one of those sorts of gowns that you have in hospitals.
Yeah.
And what I like about those is that I always think of them, they're slightly flirtatious. Because they're quite short. They're quite cut quite short to the leg, aren't
quite
they?
wispy
They're
as
quite
well.
wispy.
Yeah.
And often you can, because of the way they're sort of used to attach them at the back, often you can perhaps see a little bit of bum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And naturally, thoughts of carry-ons just
Exactly.
fall into your brain.
So I was, if she hadn't been choking, I'd have found the whole thing quite sexy. But often I find that the threat of someone dying, it ruins my libido. What can I say? Sue me. I'm sorry. What I just want to know, I tell you, the doctor comes in, the ear, nose, and throat specialist, right? And before he has a look at her, he's got to poke something down her throat. I say, listen, I've got terrible sinus trouble, and I swear to God, he started giving me a little checkup there and then. It was brilliant. He gave me free. I mean, it would have cost me a fortune at Bupa. He gave me a little prescription because I got some sinus problems. It was dynamite. It was killer. I was just, thankfully, it wasn't killer. She was fine. But what I mean is, it was dynamite. It was just great because I wasn't really there for me, but I managed to take advantage of the doctor. He was lovely, great guy. But the moral of the story being that they were brilliant. All the doctors, nurses, absolutely fantastic. Big shout out to them. If you are a doctor or a nurse, or if you're studying to be one, good luck on you. No, seriously, and it sounds like I'm being facetious. I have got nothing but total respect for doctors. I love them. Seriously, you're looking at me like there's going to be a smart aleck remark. It's not. I genuinely think they're brilliant. I wish that I had studied to be a doctor. Okay, so, no, I genuinely do. So we've got to play some Graham Coxon, then we've got to go to the news, and let's have a little round of applause for GPs.
Oh, that's it. Doctors.
Graham Coxon, and then the news, and then more stuff. Graham Coxon freaking out on the Steve Show. We will be back after the news when I'll be discussing with my cronies here their trip to the GQ Awards. One of Nick Cave's bad seeds, that's Barry Adamson with guest vocalist Jarvis Cocker, and set the controls for The Heart of the Pelvis, opening track on Adamson's 1996 album Oedipus Schmiedipus. Remember when there was a vogue for imaginary soundtracks to films that never existed? Portishead, I remember. David Holmes, was it?
Yeah,
This
Slash
film's
the
crap,
Seats.
let's slash some seats.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah,
There's lots of that for a while, and then they stopped doing it when they realised that no one wanted imaginary soundtracks to films. They just wanted the films. Remember when that happened? Remember when I said that before as well? A little insider media joke there that only the four of us appreciate and understand, which is pretty much true of most of the things we say. It's BBC Six Music, it's the Steve Show with me, Stephen Merchant, and I'm afraid to say that we are not here live in the studio. We are pre-recorded on tape. We did it earlier in the week, so do not email or text or shout or swear. And yes, it's all been good so far. No, we've enjoyed ourselves so far. I thought we've gone well. It's gone well.
It's lovely.
It's gone nicely.
It's getting late though.
It is getting late, so maybe we should crack on.
I mean, I've had a tough day at work. I mean, don't mess me around.
Okay. All right, mate. All
I
right.
could flip.
That's going to freak out people. Just don't know what's going on there. This is a Wednesday. We're actually talking to you on a Wednesday, but you're listening on a Sunday. And then if you're listening again on the Listen Again feature, maybe you're listening on Wednesday, a week later. So maybe best to listen on a Wednesday around about 20 past 8, and then you'll be actually synced up with us. In fact, I can give you time checks, and it'll be perfect.
I like the way you said let's crack on as well, as if we get on with it more quickly, the show will be over more quickly. We won't. It's too quickly we do it, we're still going to be here for 2 hours.
That's true, isn't it?
But it's good, because under the BBC's new terms and conditions, this counts as full disclosure, so we're all covered.
Yes, because if we'd said that if we hadn't declared that this was pre-recorded, they'd have come down on us like a ton of bricks.
If I, slagged off some social group, I don't know, maybe the bikers, they'd all...
The bikers, is that a social group?
Maybe, but they'd all come down to the studio, they'd think, right, as soon as he comes out, I'm gonna literally kill him with sticks. I don't come out. What's the first thing that happens? Complaint goes into the Director General of the BBC.
I was waiting to kill a man.
Live. I couldn't kill him.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but anyway, so we were going to talk briefly about our adventures at the GQ Awards, which we had earlier in the week. I took some of my posse. All right, get that sorted.
Oh,
we'll bleep that as well.
Yeah, sorry. I think there's a bit of fond and
just
fancy stuck in my throat.
Just calm down. What's his name? Good night. Oh dear, it's just getting self-indulgent. Right, stop.
Yep, sorry.
Okay, good. Okay, alright, now then, earlier in the week, yesterday in fact, but it's like a few days ago now if you're listening on Sunday, or a week ago if you're listening next Wednesday. Anyway,
Let's play a record.
Okay, let's just play a tune. So anyway, yeah, what we do is sometimes we delve into the pigeonhole and we find 3 new releases and we give them our opinions, right? So we'll do that, then we'll talk about the GQ Awards later. I'm worried that it'll start to get a bit Chris Evansy if I start talking about my showbiz lifestyle, but I've got nothing else to talk about, so that's what we'll have to do in a minute. But anyway, 3 new tunes. Okay, first up, new single from The Coral, Jacqueline. Have a listen, see what you think. From the new album Roots and Echoes, and released on the 1st of October as a single. That's The Coral and Jacqueline, and we are listening to tunes from the Pigeonhole and giving our verdict. This is Steve from BBC6 Music. I've got all the information out there that you need to understand this link. Harry, I've always thought that The Coral sound, they remind me of the Inspiral Carpets. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Well, it's not a bad thing. It's not the greatest thing, but you know, it's a thing.
Sure.
That track I enjoyed. I can imagine it becoming a semi-large hit, and I can imagine next Christmas, perhaps not Christmas '07, Christmas '08, Hank Marvin producing a new album of covers, and that will be his one sort of modern track, and he'll be there on the advert with his lips stitched shut as they were when he was 7 years old, just stood there playing it on guitar. It sounded like something Hank would do.
Sure. So his lips are stitched shut? What are you talking about?
Well, he only communicates via guitar.
Who, Hank Marvin?
Yeah.
Does he? What, he can't speak?
No.
I'm sure I've seen him on Pebble Mill at 1. He was chatting away.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was...
That's BBC trickery.
No, I remember, seriously, because I remember Hank Marvin was chatting away, and then they went, little surprise for you, Cliff Richard, and Hank's face sunk. He knew that his moment in the limelight was gone, because Cliff had to come on and tell everyone about how many more records he'd sold than Elvis. Yeah, well done, Cliff. I wonder where you got your idea for your career. I don't like Cliff Richard. Did you see him when he was on that Ramsey programme and he was supposed to be tasting wines?
Yeah.
That was magnificent. If you've got YouTube or access to it, check it out if you've not seen it. It's where they're he's tasting 3 wines because Cliff grows some wine, and so there's 3 bottles and he's tasting the wines and he tastes one and he goes, "This is disgusting," and they reveal it to be Cliff's own wine. Oh, he's furious.
I can't believe he took that risk.
It was so transparent what they were going to do.
I
Silly
believe
old
he
Cliff.
doesn't actually grow it, he turns water into it.
He does indeed, absolutely. But you mentioned Hank Marvin, and also it has a slight 60s feel, The Coral.
Yeah.
Is that something that appealed to you, Ruth?
Yeah, and they seem to have slightly... They're still doing the close harmony thing, but they've slightly left behind the sea shanty feel that was on their first album, which I got and liked, but tired of. And I really like the jangly guitar line. And I tell you what, Jacqueline's up and down the country must be pleased, because
Indeed.
Franz Ferdinand, they had a Jacqueline, didn't they? Jacqueline was 17. You know, you wait for years for a song with a girl's name in it to come up, and then 2 come along in the space of 4 years.
Wow, that's a hell of... You've got a perceptive point. You should write for the enemy.
I should really... Yeah.
Oh no, you shouldn't, because you haven't got the mentality of a 16-year-old. Ooh!
Slamming the enemy.
We'd like to be them right now.
I would like to be the enemy about now.
When's now? Is it Sunday or Wednesday?
Who knows? Whenever you're listening to it.
Yeah.
Could be next Christmas. You might have you might just unwrap your Hank Marvin album and you're listening to this.
Yeah.
8 out of 10 in the enemy.
So Sammy, The Coral, did they rock your boat?
I did like the sea shanty vibe of the first album, and I spent most of that song noticing new scabs on my legs, so I'm guessing it probably didn't strike a chord with me. What I did notice, though, is Liverpool band, The Coral, Liverpool band, The Zootons, Liverpool band, The Coral, Jacqueline, Liverpool band, The Zootons, Valerie, Jacqueline, Valerie. Do you see where I'm coming from? A Liverpool / 3-syllabled female name vibe there. Sorry, that was literally one of the only things I could notice about it because I disliked it so much.
So
Scabs on my legs.
tell us about the scabs. How are they working for you?
Oh, well, I've got this terrible one that I was picking on a park bench today, and a tramp obviously thought that I was akin to him because I was picking me scabs on a bench, and he came over and we had a lovely talk. He was a really genuinely nice fella. He stunk. I can't stress that enough.
Sure, but then again, he wasn't
down with
picking
it.
scabs off his leg in the public sphere.
You know, you just drift into a kind of bubble, and it's a fairly bad one. I don't know if I could just show you that one.
Yeah.
And what did you discuss with the tramp? I'm always intrigued to know what tramps are talking about at the moment. We should keep that as a public service. We need to know what tramps are what's hot on the tramp grapevine.
I mean, he asked if I had anything for him, i.e. money, food, drink.
The scab, maybe.
I gave him some juice, so, you know, I passed on some love today.
Sure.
But what did we talk about? We talked about the fact that he was eating food out of a bin, and so was a pigeon.
Right.
That was basically...
You talked about that, really?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice to know that tramps have that sense of sort of their own position in life.
Yeah, yeah.
Because often the tramps I encounter are the ones that try to give the illusion that everything's fine. So I remember one came up to me